Welcome back to Ladies of Another View. I'm back. And as the saying goes, people that live in glass houses should not throw stones. Well, Whoopi Goldberg, it's a Jewish name, note that. She's been throwing stones for a while, and she got herself in some hot water by saying that the Holocaust was not about race. Never mind that Hitler said the Jews were an inferior race. They were the Aryan race. It was all about race. Let's watch what she actually said on the show The View.
Well, also, if you're going to do this, then let's be truthful about it, because the Holocaust isn't about race. No, it's not about race.
No, it's about
a different race.
But it's not about race. It's not about race.
What is it about?
Because it's about man's inhumanity to man. That's what it's about.
But it's about white supremacy. It's
Well,
about
but
going
it's
after
not
Jews
about
ideal race.
But these are two white groups of people.
Well, they don't have to black people
see them as white people.
But you're missing the point. You're missing the point. The minute you turn it into race, it goes down this alley. Let's talk about it for what it is. It's how people treat each other. It's a problem. It doesn't matter if you're black or white, because black, white, Jews, everybody eats each other. So is it?
Now, she went on the Stephen Colbert show that evening to kind of apologize, kind of defend what she said. And then the next morning, she read, obviously, a scripted apology. Then she still got suspended for 2 weeks, and she is angry. Her co-hosts are angry that she got suspended. The queen of cancel culture, wanting everybody else to get canceled, is angry. And I don't know. I want to hear what you guys have to say.
Well, I just think it is when Disney, so is it ABC that owns Disney, when they canceled that Gina Carano, she's from the Disney Mandalorian. And she made an Instagram post back in February 21, and she said that Republicans today was being akin to Jewish time leading up to the Holocaust. So she did not get any, she was not able to kind of comment on that. They fired her. And now we have someone saying something that is racist, but I don't think she realized she might be racist because she is black.
Well, I was trying to give a benefit of the doubt kind of thing, and I'm like, okay, we're talking about how the human race is mean to the human race kind of thing, but the Holocaust was about race. It 100% was, and it. Man's humanity against man has been from the beginning of time, but this was a situation where a certain race was singled out above all others, and they tried to annihilate them. How can you defend any portion of that and not call it racist? She's confusing race and skin color, and she went back to just black versus white, and it's never been that. That never was the issue.
And she put all the people that are white all into one box. We're all the
Yes.
same.
She did. And then she said, like, oh my gosh, if a white person said this, she said, well, it's just two groups of white people.
Yes.
Like, what? That doesn't matter? Because, so if we said about Rwanda, oh, it's just two groups of black people killing each other. Like, wait a minute. How is this okay? And were you sick the day we talked about, in History Day? Did she not show up that day at school when they were talking about the concentration camps? That she could not know this is about race? But you know what it is? It's this whole CRT mentality.
Yes, it is.
Critical race theory. Oh, white people they're just bad.
Yes.
They're the cause of all the problems. Only people of color, they're the ones that are discriminated against. Never mind that 6 million Jews were killed in concentration camps. A relative of my husband's was among those, because they were considered an inferior race. It wasn't about religion. It wasn't because they had the Jewish religion. It was about this group of ethnic people. And the problem is that her apology is lame, number one. She's making excuses. And then she's angry that she's being suspended for 2 weeks. Like, how dare anybody suspend her? And I want to bring into the conversation the whole thing with Joe Rogan and Spotify, because 2 weeks earlier, Joe Bear, who's also on the show The View, said, oh, he can't be rehabilitated. And they were angry. Neil Young, old rocker Neil Young, and then Joni Mitchell, two Canadians, said they're pulling their music. It's either Joe Rogan or us. And Spotify said goodbye.
Bye.
And they have a policy that he was following, but because he had Dr. Malone on
Yes.
talking about that, they said, well, he was engaging in COVID misinformation, because you can only have one, you can only be pro-vaccine, and he wasn't necessarily anti-vaccine, but he talks about the cost benefit, risk benefit for people that are young adults. And anyways, they didn't like what he had to say, and so they want to demand that Rogan get canceled. And then lo and behold, Whoopi can't even handle 2 weeks suspension.
Well, it's like a mini vacation for her, so I don't know what she's complaining about. Most of her fans are thinking that it's way too long, and the people that were offended by it are thinking that it should be permanent. But it's press for the show, so I hate even really discussing it too deep. Same thing with Rogan. I don't necessarily follow him. I've seen some of his stuff. Oh well, I don't think he stands for what's good and true in the world.
No, I don't agree with him
and
on a lot of things.
So it's more like, are they just doing this to stir the pot so they
No.
get the attention?
No,
I
there's
mean,
a
I
lot of
understand.
Jewish people.
I understand
Yeah.
the ignorance on Whoopi's part saying something like that, but it's the response that I'm saying. Are they really doing this just to stir the pot, just to make people continue to talk about it? If we didn't all pay attention to the bad things like that, it would be one of those things where it would die its own death. You know, it's kind of like speaking the name over and over of a criminal instead of the victim of the crime, and celebrating the victim in a way that kind of pays tribute to their life if it was lost, instead of giving the three-name notoriety to the person that committed the offense against them. So I struggle with these kind of issues.
Speaking of names, her name is Karen Johnson.
Yes.
She chose Whoopi Goldberg, a Jewish name,
Yes.
for I don't know why, but who knew she was a Karen?
Yeah. Well, obviously, I think everybody did if they would have had to guess her name that she's a Karen.
But with Spotify, they do not want you to tell. I mean, there is the CDC and Fauci that's the only guidelines you can tell about COVID. And if you go anything outside that box, they will cancel you. And I just want to note that Neil Young, one of his famous songs are "Rockin' in the Free World."
Yeah.
Isn't that ironic? Rocking in the free world. What happened, to these, to the Joni Mitchell? She had a lot of protest type songs too, but now they're co-opting the government's
Yes.
They are.
agenda. Yes, and but it's ridiculous, this whole cancel culture. Like, I don't think Whoopi should be fired over this. What do you guys think?
I think that she's done a lot more in other situations where she probably would have been deserved to be booted. I don't think this is one of them.
I mean, I'm not a fan of hers.
No, not a fan, but
But I'm against the cancel culture. And one of my big complaints is that they have picked little things that people have said, and they've even apologized over things that aren't even that big of a deal. But no, the apologies are never enough. There's no forgiveness. And so
Well, look at the names of the people that run ABC. They kind of fall along the same line. And New York Post was on Whoopi's case too about choosing the name and saying how offensive it was. But it was a Jewish writer in the New York Post that said so.
Like, if you're a white person, can you choose a black name and you're a comedian? What would happen there?